Are you thinking about building a new workbench? Why not build mine? I got free plans down in the description below, and let me show you a few reasons why I think this is the best workbench I've ever owned. Okay, let's get started. So the workbench for sure is the heart of the shop. It should be anyway. You will spend hours and hours at your workbench, whether that be finishing, sanding, assembling, you name it, doesn't matter. You're going to be spending more time at your workbench than any other tool in your shop. So that said, why not make it great? And should you decide to build this bench, like I said before, free plans down in the description below. It's a link that will take you to a PDF file that you can print off or bring your computer out to your shop and use your computer out there. It's got a cut list, material list, you name it. And also in the description below will be links to all of the products that I use to build this workbench, as well as some of the accessories that you see here today. I will have links provided for all of it. They are Amazon affiliate links, so should you decide to use those links, I do get a little kickback. I appreciate it. Thank you. Let's get started. All right, with that said, I've got 6 quick reasons why I think that this workbench is hands down the best workbench that I've ever owned. Let's get started. Reason number 1, dog holes. Dog holes have been around for centuries, and there's a reason for that. They just work. They're awesome. Cabinet makers and woodworkers alike have been using these things forever. And now, in our modern era, we have a plethora of accessories that you can purchase for these. And for the most part, most of them are fairly cheap. And these right here are the only accessories that I have. I got some dogs themselves and a couple sets of clamps, and this gets me by for 99% of my clamping needs or woodworking needs on my workbench. So you don't need a ton of gadgets and gizmos to get you going, basically. So let me show you a couple of quick ways that I utilize these dog holes. Whenever I'm doing panel glue-ups, I like to use biscuits to help align my boards. So what I'll do is I'll grab a couple of dogs, place them in the holes, place my material up against the dog, and then that way when I'm using the biscuit joiner and pressing up against it, the work piece is not going to slide. So if the dog was not there, as you can tell, this could start sliding on you, and that can create a little dangerous kickback situation. So it's much safer using the dogs. Let me show you. So that is one quick task that dogs definitely help assist you in preventing your workpiece from sliding around. And there you go, you got a panel. All right, check this out. So you can purchase dogs that have a rubber top on them. It's a little rubber boot. And what that'll do for you is you can take your workpiece, place it on top of your dogs, and that's not moving. So one task that I really do quite often is add a round over to my workpiece, and you can place your workpiece on top of those dogs. And as you can tell, you have open space all the way around your workpiece, so you're not dodging anything as you're routing. Let me show you. So that's a quick round over on this piece of plywood, and I wasn't worried about it spinning around or anything like that. Just that added grip from those rubber pads really make that task that much more enjoyable. So, okay, so now that we have our hypothetical panel all glued up and ready for some finish sanding, these pads also help assist in that. So once again, place your piece of material on there, and those pads will help prevent it from sliding as you're sanding. Okay, so those were just a couple of ways that dog holes can definitely assist you in doing your day-to-day woodworking tasks. All right, let's move on to number 2. All right, next up is the size. I got you zoomed out so you can get a full view of it, and I love the size of this workbench. It is so wonderful being able to have all of the space to put all my parts and pieces in one area and work over here, and you can everything is readily available. It's wonderful. So if you have the space available, definitely recommend going with a 4x8 footprint of your workbench. So now, that said, if you decide to download the plans and build this workbench, you could make it smaller. Now, you'll just have to all of the stretchers and the aprons and stuff, you would just have to make the adjustment on that measurement in order to, decrease the width and the length and all that stuff. So you'll just have to adjust accordingly. But definitely, if you can, definitely recommend building one, build it out to this full 4x8 sheet. This could be used as an outfeed table for your table saw as well. And my original design was I had it drawn up in SketchUp for a job site, kind of like the DeWalt job site table saw, where in one end it was just an opening that was cut right here where you could place that job site saw, and then essentially you would have this full outfeed table right here that you would be able to use for your outfeed table basically, and then also your workbench slash assembly table. Anyway, on to the next one, MDF. So I've gotten a lot of questions on whether or not MDF is it good enough for a workbench top? And I can honestly say I've been building every single one of my workbench tops that I've used for the last 15 years. I've built them out of MDF, and only because, one, what do you want in a workbench? You want it to be heavy. You don't want it to be moving around, right? You want it to be heavy. You want it to be dense. And MDF is just incredibly dense and heavy, as we all know. And it's not very durable if you're going to be screwing into the so-called end grain of it. Obviously that's not durable, but when on its flat face, MDF is actually really strong, and it takes a screw really well, and MDF is very durable. So MDF top paired with this laminate, this 4x8 sheet of laminate, you can't beat it. It's a no-brainer. Put the laminate on it, especially if you know that this is going to be your so-called forever workbench, if that's a thing. But if you know you're going to like it, you're going to keep it for a long time, take the time to put the laminate on. It's worth the extra money. You can see I use and abuse this workbench. I am not light with it. I'm hammering on it. I put screws through it. This is a workbench that I'm going to use. It's not going to look clean. Like, I got scratches and scuffs and glue marks. I got a little glue right there. I have no problem taking a chisel and scraping it up a little bit. And I scuffed my workbench there. I don't care. I'm going to be using this thing as a workbench. So, but take the time, put some laminate on it. You won't regret it. And MDF, honestly, I would use the MDF over plywood based on that simple fact alone, that you want the density, you want the weight. Anyway, so don't be afraid of MDF. It is definitely something I've used for years, and especially if you put that laminate top on, it's very durable. So, all right, next up is my vise. This is a 9-inch vise made by Yoast. You can buy it on Amazon, and this thing is awesome. I love having a vise. I've never had a vise on any of my other workbenches, and it's one of those things, it's kind of like the dog holes for me. It's one of those things I don't think I'll ever not have one. If for some reason I had to get rid of this workbench, or this vise broke or something like that, I would definitely make sure I have another vise on there. So it's just got a little quick throw like that. It's super handy for if you needed to, start doing some face planing or something like that on a wider piece. You're right there, you're instantly in business, and you want to get on your edge, do some edge work like that, you're back in business as well. It's very handy to be able to clamp down your workpiece super quick that way. And it's locks it in nice and tight. So, and another thing, I don't use this feature too often, but if you really, really need to get a hold of your workpiece and get some pressure on it to make sure that it's not moving, you can use this little pop-up dog here and throw another dog down in one of your dog holes over here, and close that up a little bit and crank down on that, and that is putting some serious pressure on there, and this thing is not moving. So anyway, having this vise, it's just definitely a creature comfort that I'm not so sure I would go without. So okay, on the next thing. Okay, for the last feature that I think I'm gonna like, I just got done installing these cabinets with these storage drawers here, and I'm pretty sure I'm gonna like them. And actually, the reason why I didn't build these cabinets initially was I have never had the workbench like this, so I wasn't sure if I was going to like it, and I didn't want to go through building all the cabinets and putting any extra money into it if I wasn't gonna like the workbench and then rebuild a different one or something like that. But it's been a year and a half, and this workbench has been rock solid. I love it. Can't say enough good things about it, as you can tell here in the video. So I went ahead and made these cabinets to just kind of get more organized. And one of the main things is it's awesome just to be able to have sander, just all your hand tools, all the things that you use right at your workbench. That's my plan. Is I don't have this completely organized. I don't have this completely organized yet, but just having everything that is readily available right here, like nail guns and things like that, sanders or whatever that you use right at the workbench is going to be pretty nice. You don't need to build these cabinets in order to build the workbench. Obviously, if you've seen in my previous videos and stuff, it was just one big wide open shelf down here. And like any big wide open shelf, it just kind of becomes a catch-all for everything. And I knew it would. And it's nice to have that openness in order to just store odds and ends that you don't know where to put, basically. But that said, I'd like getting a little more organized, and having these drawers here, I think, is going to be something that I'm really going to enjoy in the future. Now, one thing I do want to say, as far as the plans go, the cabinets here is not in the plans. The plans is just the workbench. It's the workbench itself. Meaning the top, the aprons and the legs and all that, and just gives you those dimensions. So, but if you wanted to build these cabinets, it's just your basic box, and all I did was put some drawers in it. I like drawers. I'm a drawer guy. I don't like cabinet doors. Everything just kind of gets lost, I feel like, in cabinets. One feature that you could do if you needed a workbench to be more mobile, you could cut these legs, 4 inches shorter or whatever the size of your casters are, and then you could put it on casters as well. I did not want to put this on casters. I've put all my other workbenches on casters before, and I ended up putting the workbench into its home and then never moving it. So I just said, you know what? I'm not even going to deal with the casters. I've moved this thing around before. I just got some of those floor sliders and slid them up underneath the legs, and then had me and my dad actually be able to push this thing around. So it is movable if you pull all the tools out, and then you can slide it around if you need to. But most of the time, like I said, I usually just park it and it's resting home, and it stays there for years, for years and years. So I just decided to forego the casters. But if you choose to, just make obviously subtract the dimension of the length of your casters for the length of your legs, and you should be good to go. Anyway, guys, that's the video. I appreciate you watching, and let me know in the comments if you decide to download the plans and actually build this workbench. And if you have any questions on the plans, feel free to ask down in the comments. I respond to everything. I will get a response out as soon as I see it. I'm usually pretty quick with my responses, but anyway, I hope you liked the video, and appreciate you watching. See you guys. All right, if you made it this far and you're still here, here is a quick 2-minute segment of me just building these cabinets. Hope you enjoy. We'll see you guys.